AI agents are so cool, guys. So I finally made my first one, and in this video I'll take you through exactly how I made it and how I'm using it for one of my marketplaces and how you can also make a similar one for your marketplace. So I added a public repo that you can just access, copy it, and then you can quickly also get going with your AI agents. Let's do it. Cool. So I think it's good just quickly to talk about what an AI agent actually is. And a good way to actually figure this out is to compare it to a normal cron job that most of you guys probably know what is. So let's just first go through what a cron job actually is. So a cron job, most developers, they use them all the time. So it's something that you schedule to run at a certain time, and then it does whatever you tell it to do at that certain time. That's maybe once every 15 minutes or once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever you tell it to do, right? So for instance here, right? So if we made a cron job that maybe ran every 15 minutes, it's a hard-coded script then, right? So it just does whatever you tell it to do and nothing else. So let's say we, for instance, make it check if a listing has no images, and if so, then it sends a static email to that seller, for instance. So on Nordic Mugs, which is my marketplace for buying and selling movement mugs, this one, you can see that I have two cron jobs here. And by the way, in Next.js, the way that you add all your cron jobs is to basically make a vessel.json file in the root folder, and then you basically add all the cron jobs like this. And you can see that this cron job is about sending out a newsletter, and it's scheduled like this. And this basically means there's this crontab.guru that is really good for actually figuring out what this means. So this basically means that this cron job will fire every Friday at 1:15 London time. So that is basically what it does. So let's go through it, right? So it's relatively simple actually. So it basically just checks in the database if there are any listings that haven't been added to the newsletter before in the last 120 days. And if so, it basically adds it to the newsletter with a limit of 16. So there cannot be more than 16 in one newsletter basically. And then it basically just sends out this newsletter. And the way you can see here in the database, you can for instance see that, let's have a look at this one. This one, for instance, has been added in a newsletter before because you can see the newsletter ID here. But this one, which is a new listing, that has not been added to a newsletter yet, right? So that will go out the coming Friday. So that is basically this listing here, right? So that is basically a very simple cron job that just checks if there are any new listings and if they have been added to a newsletter before, and if not, it basically just sends out that newsletter on Friday at 1:15. So that's an example of a simple cron job. Great, so now that we know what a cron job is, then let's compare it to what an AI agent then is, because I think this makes it a little bit easier to understand now. So first of all, an AI agent always has a goal. So that could be, for instance, improve a listing quality. And that means that we could make it read the database, the listings, and then we would add some kind of model to it, right? So some kind of reasoning engine. That could be GPT-4, or it could be Claude or Gemini, or whatever model we are gonna choose. We're probably gonna go for Claude actually, and then we basically make that one ask, so why is this listing bad, or is it bad? So we just feed it all new listings, for instance, and then we make it come up with maybe some suggestions that could be better. And that really depends, right? So if someone wrote maybe just one line, it could be, hey, please write a couple more lines, here is suggestions. Or it could be maybe they wrote in a very bad language or something like that, right? So something that basically improves the quality of the listing text-wise. So we make it come up with suggestions, and that could be, for instance, add a few cozy photos, and then actually in the end we should then also make it then send an email automatically to that user. Great, so now we can basically compare these two and set them up against each other, right? So a cron job triggering is always scheduled, so it only runs whenever you schedule it to run, and that's it. Whereas an AI agent is goal or event driven. The logic for a cron job is static, whereas for an AI agent it is adaptive. A cron job has no intelligence, no personalization, and no autonomy, and an AI agent does. And for the use of LLMs, you can actually connect an LLM to a cron job as well, but it will still only run whenever it's scheduled. And again, for an AI agent, it is goal driven. So I hope this explains the difference. Great, so now that we know what an AI agent actually is, then let's start building one. So let's build one for Nordic Mugs, my marketplace here, right? So as you can see, there are quite some listings where the description is very thin, you could say, right? So here, this is Swedish, but if I translate it to English, you can see that it just says in very good condition. That's not a very good description, right? So it would be much better if there was a longer description, because I think that would help with basically getting more buyers to basically write or maybe buy this mug, right? The same with this one. It's the same in very good condition. Some of them have a little bit better, like this one. Okay, that one is pretty good actually, but let's have a look at this one. So this one could also be better, I would say, right? So basically we will make an AI agent with the goal of improving listings and then automatically send the seller an improved version for their listing. And it would also be really cool if they then just click a button somewhere and then that new description would basically be added to their listing. Let's try and do that. Okay, so I have done some coding, and as you can see here, there's actually quite a lot, but then again, it's actually not that much. It's just because I'm touching quite a lot of different routes and also the create listing area, of course, because I have to do it right after creating a listing, because I'm gonna do it as an event-driven. It fires right after a user creates a new listing. So let me show you. So here in the My Listings area, actually, let me first take you through the changes I made. So first of all, I made this check listing here, and that one is basically my instructions to Anthropic. That is the model we are using. As you can see down here, we're using the Claude 3.5, but I could basically be using any model I would like to, right? It's just the Opus 4 is a little bit more expensive, as you can see here. And then there's also the Sonnet 4, 3.7, and so on, right? But for this job here, it's actually relatively simple, I would say. So we're just gonna be using the 3.5 one, which is this one you can see here, right? And actually, it's pretty cool. You can get email notifications whenever your monthly spend reaches a certain limit and so on. And to set this up is very easy. You just create a profile basically, and then you just create an API key. You add that API key to your env file, and then you're basically ready to go. So let me go back to the code here. So as you can see here up here, these are basically my instructions, right? So I'm basically telling the AI Claude 3.5 what to do here, right? So all prices are in euros. This is the role. So I wanted to basically improve the title and description, also comment on the price if it wants to. And then I'm also telling it to reply in the same language. That is important for Nordic Mugs because it is a multi-language marketplace. So there are 5 different languages. So that's why that is very important. Okay, got it. Then I also have a new email sent. So basically an email is sent to the seller after he or she creates a new listing. The email will look something like this. I just need to make it a little bit nicer here, but basically this seller is then receiving some feedback here on a listing that they just made, and they can then click here to basically apply the feedback. Then of course I added an AI suggestions area to the model like this. I installed the Anthropic SDK, and yeah, then I had to change the My Listings area so that now there is a apply AI suggestions button that opens a model, and there you see the old title and description and also the new suggested ones. And then of course I also made some changes to the create new listings route so that basically we are sending the title and the description, actually all the information to Claude 3.5 and then waiting for the reply back. So that's how it is being done at the moment. Okay, so let's test it out, right? So if I go to Nordic Mugs here, and again I'm in localhost 3000, I try and create a new listing here. So we're just gonna be selling, and we are gonna be using actually this image here, right? So I have an image here, this one, and it's a yellow mug one. Actually, my inspiration is from this listing, which is in the live environment. So this seller here, she added this title here. So let's add the exact same title here, and then this description here, like that. Price, for now, we're just gonna say, well, what is the price here? 135 euros. It's used. We're just gonna add that one photo, and actually, yeah, that is it for now. We're not gonna add anything here. Actually, we could add that this is number 11.
11, that is the office mug, and it is yellow color. Good. And we could actually also just add Snufkin here. Yeah. Okay, so I am saving. And now you can see here in my listings that we have this new button here called View AI Suggestions. And actually before we click on that one, let me just show you the database as well. So if I open up the database here, there should be a new listing here. There is. So here you can see, first of all, the status is pending because the seller has not published it yet. It's in pending mode. And you can see the title, description, the original title and description. And then you can see down here we have these AI suggestions. Okay, cool. So now we have a suggested title, which is this one: Arabia, Moomin, Mog, Snufkin, Yellow, Office, Contour, 11, New, Use. Cool. And then there's also a better description. Already there you can see that this is actually much better. And it actually also figured out exactly which one it was, which is really cool because this is the exact number 11 mog in the official Moomin mog list. So that is really cool. So already now I can see why not use those ones instead. So let's see what it looks like here. So if I click here, you can see that the AI feedback is up here. Great that you included the condition and mog number to help buyers find your listing. I'd suggest adding more details like the character name, Snufkin, and that is an official Arabia mog. That's actually a really good suggestion, right? Because that might also make it easier then to find it on, Google. This is better for SEO, for instance. So this is the old title, and here is the suggested new title. And this is the old description, and here is the new description. I would say both of them are much better. So I'm just gonna go ahead and actually apply these ones. And you can see that now the new ones have been added. So if I go back in the database here and we just refresh and I go down here, you can see that now it has the new title and the new description. Also, if you go down here to the translated descriptions, you can see that these ones have also been updated. So basically after I clicked the button, it made a new API call to DeepL, which we're using for translations, and those ones are now also translated in the 5 languages. So that is awesome. So now I can basically go ahead and publish this one. And you can see that now it is published, meaning that I'm still in development, of course, but this was much better than my original one that I made in the very beginning. So this is much better than this, I would say. So I would say that we already made a really cool feature here.
Cool. So if you found this useful and if you would like to try it on your own marketplace as well, then I added a repo, a public repo to my GitHub profile here, as you can see, this one. And you can basically just go ahead and copy that one, and then you will basically have access to a demo environment that will look like this, where you can basically go in and add a listing. So let's try and add one here. So sneaker blue, and if I also copy that to the description and I add a price, and then I can basically see my listings like this, right? And then I can also get suggestions kind of like this. So that is similar to what I was showing you before, as it was on Nordic Mugs. Now, I haven't added my Anthropic API key to this demo environment here, but basically what you just do is that once you copied the repo, then you basically go to the env example, as you can see here, and then you can see exactly what you have to do, right? So you just add a .env in the root, and then you add your actual Anthropic API key. And once you've done that, then this will basically work, right? So then it will not just be hard-coded suggestions as it is here, then you will actually see the actual suggestions coming from Claude or whatever model you choose to use. So go ahead and just copy that repo if you feel like it. Also, of course, everything that we did has of course been added to my Speedbuild Marketplace boilerplate. So Speedbuild Marketplace is a boilerplate for quickly making a marketplace MVP. So you can go ahead and check that out. You can see here in the changelog that basically I added the feature that we just made. And by the way, if you are not technical, I also have a course that will basically make you an AI marketplace developer in 14 days. So I really encourage you to check that out if you are considering building a marketplace and you are not technical. Cool. And by the way, there are so many cool AI agents, of course, that we can make now, right? So, and I will probably be making some of these within the next couple of months, right? So this one was a listing enhancement agent that we just made, but there are
so many cool ideas that I have that we can be making, right? And I will also be adding many of these to the boilerplate, of course, right? So this is my list so far. Like there's like a review summarizer agent, availability manager, trust and safety agent, offer negotiator agent, auto pricing agent. That's also a very interesting one actually, right? So a seller sets a price, but maybe that's not the best price compared to maybe the data that you have on your marketplace, and then you can suggest the seller to adjust the price. That would also be a super cool agent to have, I would say, at least. So yeah, there's so many cool things you can make now.
Okay guys, that's it for this one. So if you found it useful, then give it a thumbs up, and if you did not find it useful, then don't. Okay, I hope to see you in the next one. See you guys, bye, ciao.